What's going on, everybody? It's Professor Zeus, and I'm back with another video. If you are new to this channel, go ahead and subscribe. We are on our way to 600 subscribers, and we are taking it the humble route. So yesterday, Vice President J.D. Vance was at a conference, CPAC, the Conservative Political Action Conference yesterday. And this has kind of been making waves on social media and things like that. But he essentially stated that masculinity was being attacked. And I kind of want to react to that and several other videos dealing with this subject just to get, you guys' thought about that. Have you guys seen any trends in the past few years that could suggest that, masculinity as we know it is being attacked, infringed upon, and different things like that? So let me go ahead and share this video and we can get the party started.
You mentioned raising these children into good people and also into good citizens that can contribute to society and to the world. We had so many young people come out and support Donald Trump and J.D. Vance this past election. So what is your message? And what is your message to the young men?
I guess my message to young people generally is we're trying to make your life better. And that is the simple thrust of President Trump's policy is we want you to be able to buy a home. We want you to be able to work a good job. We want you to be able to raise your kids, like I said, according to the values that you believe in. And we want you to be able to build a nice life in this country that all of us love. That is what we're trying to do. And you guys more than anybody, more than me, I'm talking about people under the age of 30 in particular, you guys are going to have to deal with the consequences of good policy or of bad policy for much longer than the rest of us. And I want you guys to think about the future and ask yourself, do you want safe communities? Do you want a prosperous life? Do you want to be able to work a good job? Or do you want that job shipped off to China or somewhere else? We're fighting for you every single day. We want you to help fight for us because we've got to win. Not just the policy battles of the next couple of months. We've got to win the midterm elections in a couple of years. We need you. We recognize that we need you, and we're fighting for you every single day. And I think, you asked me, my message to young men is, I think that our culture sends a message to young men that you should suppress every masculine urge. You should try to cast aside your family. You should try to suppress what makes you a young man in the first place. And I think that my message to young men is don't allow this broken culture to send you a message that you're a bad person because you're a man, because you like to tell a joke, because you like to have a beer with your friends, or because you're competitive. It's our message, the cultural message, and I think the president's and mine is the exact opposite, but our cultural message is I think that it wants to turn everybody, whether male or female, into androgynous idiots who think the same, talk the same, and act the same. We actually think God made male and female for a purpose, and we want you guys to thrive as young men and as young women, and we're going to help with our public policy to make it possible to do that.
So let me go into this real quick, right? I don't see anything wrong with what he said. I think for the last few years now, we have been kind of being conditioned to believe that masculinity is toxic, that, unless a man taps into his feminine side, he's, somewhat or somehow flawed. But the truth is, masculinity isn't the problem. It's weak, misguided, and absent masculinity. That's the real issue. And when men stop embracing their natural roles, society suffers. And obviously, you do everything with respect and dignity and things like that. But when you kind of disrupt the natural order of things, you will start to see things go downhill. I mean, if you really think about it, single parent households are skyrocketing. I have a family, but anytime I get on social media and I see, someone who's having a baby shower, or how people have those photo shoots where they're announcing they're pregnant. Like, I never see, not that I never see, but it's getting to a point where I hardly see, the father in that situation. And I understand that men need to take a responsibility for the children that they bring into this world, But at the same time, we got to be real. You know, this issue is like, it runs deep. I mean, even if 99% of the men were to step up, just 1% could still father enough children to shape an entire generation, if you really think about it. So the point is, when strong, present, and responsible men disappear, society starts to crumble, right? And I'm extremely pro marriage, pro family creation, and things like that. So we got to start going about things a little bit more differently. Now, CNN had their own take on JD Vance's speech. So let's react to this right now.
Masculinity is power, but I think it's power under control. I think it's knowing who you are, and not having to brag about it. I think it's being able to take what you want, but having the discipline to actually ask for it. I think it's being able to relate to women in a way where you understand what they want, but you have enough discipline and wisdom to kind of stand back and let them figure it out for themselves. I think that masculinity is a work in progress. It doesn't have any one definition. When he talks about telling jokes, I'm wondering, telling jokes about what? Telling jokes about
that's what I'm wondering.
What are you talking about?
Let me play this other part of what he said, because I think it also fills out the picture of where he thinks Trump fits into this.
I think this is why young men in particular are so, they're so inspired by President Trump, is because he doesn't allow the media to tell him he can't make a joke or he can't have an original thought. President Trump just says what's on his mind. That's a damn good thing, and it's a good example to set for young men in American culture.
I mean, I think you would agree that Trump also insults people in childish ways and doesn't take jokes well. I mean, these are also things that Trump does. I mean, is that the role model?
I think President Trump likes to exaggerate on a lot of things. I mean, we've seen it all along. But you have a situation here where you look at the campaign, the young vote was huge for Donald J. Trump. It was huge. And what caused that? And it's what JD's talking about. A situation where did Donald Trump go? He went to the UFC fights. He had Hulk Hogan with him. I can go on and on and on. All these things, all these things, which brought in the young vote to Donald J.
You
Trump.
mean the young male vote, I assume.
Young male vote. I'm sorry. Yeah,
Trump, to be clear, Trump lost young voters.
You what?
He lost young voters.
Yes, but he made massive gains among
we have the numbers. I mean, he did better among young male voters, to Jamal's point, against Harris than he did against Biden. So that was the change.
Yeah. Look, being a man is being rugged, resilient, reliable in my mind. Okay. But I think that, and I was just saying this earlier, that, and I think John Fetterman's also echoed this point, that the left really tried to define what bro culture is and foist it upon young men. If you read Barstool Sports, you're evil. If you got a kick out of those Coors Light ads from the 90s with the cheerleaders and twins, you're a misogynist. If you do drink beers with your friends and you do tell stupid jokes or say some stupid story, then you feel that way permanently. There is sort of no grace to the boys will be boys mentality. There are limits, of course, we know that, but I don't think there's been so much less grace being shown toward what it means to be
I just realized that this says MAGA manhood. Like we're watching a deliberate effort right now to blur the lines between men and women. Why does it have to be MAGA manhood? That I'm just now, as I'm watching this, I just am now realizing it says MAGA manhood. So only men who support MAGA have manhood, or what is CNN trying to say? Right? This isn't just about gender roles. It's about, from what I'm seeing, like they're trying to dismantle what makes men, trying to suppress men's natural instincts, trying to soften them up to fit an agenda. Listen, we have to kind of understand that being a man, there's nothing wrong with being a man. And this whole idea of masculinity is toxic. I think it's not good. And we've seen it. This isn't the proper type of, because you got to think about it, right? I started to see this whole trend, like women on TikTok will say how not only are men not approaching them in public, but men will also not help them. So sometimes, you know how you're walking and you might hold the door for somebody, right? Or you might, just out of the kindness of your heart, or because you're trying to talk to a female, You might help them with their groceries or something like that. It's gotten to the point that women are now complaining that these things don't happen to them. But it's like these things aren't happening because you've been saying how masculinity is toxic. So men are even afraid to approach you or even try to lend a helping hand. You ever seen videos where like women are trying to change their tires on the side of the road, and then they'll stop, and then they'll be on the freeway or whatever, recording themselves like, oh my goodness, like no man is gonna stop and try to help me. You said they're toxic. You know what I mean? Like, it's crazy. And this really goes beyond politics. It's about culture. Boys will be boys, you know. They gotta, roughhouse, play sports, contact fight, boxing, martial arts, football, They have to be able to develop confidence in themselves. But you're saying all these make them toxic. You're saying all this means that you support MAGA. Who is this helping?
Sort of perimeter things of what it means to be a man in today's world.
Like, I don't want to speak for you all because I'm clearly I'm a woman, but like it seems like when accountability is introduced, that's when we get this entire lecture about what it means to be a man. See, the problem with Barstool, as you mentioned, maybe it was the rape jokes, maybe it was all those kind of things that was the thing that people were a little bit disgusted by.
Yeah.
And it seems like every time I hear somebody say cancel culture or they're not letting me be a man, I always wonder, what is it that you really want to say? What is it that you're being held back from saying that you think is so poignant that you can't say? What is the joke that is so damn funny that you need to tell people?
If you saw, and I'm sure it's similar, maybe, I don't know how frequent you guys are on Instagram, but if you saw the memes that are sent around into friend groups, they're just inappropriate. I couldn't show the memes. That's what I'm talking about. And by the way,
I don't care about those kind of things.
I got
this idea that we're trying to limit male expression or that there is some kind of force that's saying like, oh, you guys can't hang out with your friends. Look, my husband, I see how they hang out. Like, I don't really care about those things. But I think what he's defining there is that it's something a little bit more nefarious, because as soon as there was a limit put on what other people wouldn't accept in terms of what certain men were saying, then all of a sudden it was like, oh, you're limiting my expression.
Well,
and let me also add, right? The ironic thing about what I was just saying about, women calling men toxic and then they're not getting help with certain things. And even in society, pushing for men to be more sensitive, right? Deep down, most women still crave and want masculine partners. They want leaders, protectors, providers, not men who are afraid to take charge. I've seen so many polls with women who say they would actually rather have a male boss versus a woman boss. I don't know why. I can honestly tell you, I don't know why they say that, but that's what they say. So what is that saying? Right? Because the message today is that men should submit, they should take a back seat, and that's hurting both men and women. Because when men stop embracing their strength, their assertiveness, and their ambition, families suffer. If I took the back seat for my role as husband, father, I don't know where my family would be. You know what I mean? Communities would be weak if we didn't have men who step up to the plate. Just really think about how society would move. And then there's the argument that men are the same ones who get us into war, but they're also the same ones who get us out of it too. Now, I want to play another clip. Now, this is going to be a little bit more on the crazy spectrum, right? But our favorite doctor, Dr. Umar, he got online recently and he claims that with Obama's administration, it pushed the LGBTQ agenda into the Black community. So I kind of want us to react to this as well.
Normalize the LGBTQ agenda in the Black community. Think about it. If George Bush tried to push homosexuality in the Black community, we would have rejected him.
Of course.
If Donald Trump tried to push homosexuality in the Black community, we would have rejected him.
Of course.
You could only normalize that through a black
To a
face.
black man.
Obama was made president to make it normal. When Barack Obama became president, homosexuality was not a mainstream issue, nor was it accepted as a mainstream alternative to the traditional family.
I gotta look at
By the time he left office in 08, they were completely running everything.
That was
and
that
if
the
you
year?
even disagreed with, I'm gonna give you an example.
It is.
I do
You
a
might
lot
be
of
right.
graduation speeches, right? At the June.
Okay.
Elementary school, middle school, high school. I normally do about 20 graduation speeches a season.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
When Barack Obama was president, I might have did 5. It dropped significantly. Schools who I normally did their commencement, they was calling me up, Dr. Umar, we can't have you speak this year. Why? The LGBTQ say you don't agree with them. You can't speak. I said, but this is a graduation speech. This ain't politics. This is motivation. Get ready for the rest of your life. What does LGBT got to do with my 10-minute speech motivating these 12th graders to make sure you do well in college? Well, we have LGBT teachers and they're saying you're insensitive and you're homophobic. So I saw how not agreeing with the lifestyle could limit your opportunities in life. You had people getting fired from jobs, not for pushing hate, because I don't agree with hate. I don't agree with the lifestyle. But I don't want harm for any human, no matter what their situation is.
That's the way to do
but
it.
But the way that they did it was the LGBTQ said, to disagree with me is to hate me. They created a narrative that if you disagree, you support violence against me. You don't want us to work. You want us to be shot, killed, man. We never said that.
That's ridiculous.
We just said we don't agree with the lifestyle. But they turned it into a whole campaign against anybody who disagreed with it. And that's another reason why a lot of people didn't vote for Kamala Harris, black men, because they got tired of the effeminization. And then they took it to Africa. Obama started it. He went to Africa. He went to Liberia. He went to Rwanda, a couple other places. He said, if you don't legalize gay marriage, we cutting off your aid. Now, mind you, this is the oldest civilization on earth. How you going to go to the oldest people in the world and say, if you don't legalize same-sex marriage, we're going to cut your aid off? So that rubbed a lot of people the wrong way, because you don't go to Africa to help. You go to force this.
He did that for her?
Yes, he did. And then Kamala Harris did it. She did it. They all did it. So a lot of us, especially the Pan-Africanists, be like, nah, we can't support that type of a lifestyle. So I think a lot of people got tired of all these rogue agendas of the Democratic Party. And I'm gonna be honest with you, out of all of them, I think it was the transgenders participating in sports that really broke the back.
Because
don't nobody fuck with that.
That's what I'm saying. Nobody, like, I don't know nobody who support that except them.
Democrat, Republican.
Absolutely.
Like, you know
they went too far.
So I just wanted to add that because it adds to this whole concept of, you know, making men more effeminate, right? I have a son. Obviously, I want him to also grow up, start his own family, you know, be supportive, be a provider, and things like that. But we just live in a culture right now that is extremely, extremely, you have to tiptoe around certain topics. And obviously, I love and respect everyone. You know, you can do what you want, be who you want. But when it comes to the idea of masculinity, I think, you know, men being able to embrace their masculinity is, I think it's going to come back in like full throttle and be in high demand. Not just in the workforce, but in relationships, leaderships, and every aspect of life. Because at the end of the day, right, women don't want men to compete with them. They want men to complement them. And the more we push back against, quote unquote, this agenda, the more we can create a world where both men and women thrive, right? So what can we do first? We got to reject the narrative that masculinity is a problem. It's a part of life's ecosystem. We have to embrace it, encourage it, respectfully, of course, and teach young men the value of strength, leadership, and responsibility. And most importantly, we got to keep this conversation going. So let me know what you think in the comments. Leave a like, send this video to someone who you think might see some value in it. And if you made it this far, subscribe. Like, we're on our way to 600 subscribers. All right. And never, ever forget, it's you and I verse for a reason. I teach you, you teach me, and we both take what we taught each other and apply it to what's going on. That's the only way life can go on. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.